What happens when the fiery pulpit of Donnie Swaggart, heir to one of America's most controversial evangelists, collides with the razor-sharp comedy of Katt Williams, the comedian who fears no one and exposes everything? Nobody could have predicted it. Nobody thought it would happen. But here we are. The church world and the comedy stage just crashed into each other, and the internet is on fire. This isn't just a clash of two men. It's a clash of two worlds, the sacred versus the secular, the preacher versus the comedian, the anointed pulpit versus the unforgiving spotlight. And the truth is, this shocking feud is shaking both communities in ways no one expected. But before we dive deep into how the clash erupted, let's understand who these two larger-than-life figures are. Donnie Swaggart, the preacher who inherited the fire. To understand this war, you must first understand Donnie Swaggart. Son of legendary televangelist Jimmy Swaggart, Donnie grew up in the shadow of scandal, revival tents, and endless controversy. His father, Jimmy, was once America's biggest preacher, pulling millions of viewers worldwide. But scandals nearly destroyed the empire. Still, the ministry survived. And now, Donnie carries that legacy. Fiery sermons, sharp words, and no filter when it comes to calling out the world. Donnie has always been known as a fighter on the pulpit. He doesn't hold back. Whether he's preaching against Hollywood, politics, or lifestyles he condemns, his words are like bullets. And that's exactly what made this feud possible. Because sooner or later, someone like Donnie was bound to cross paths with someone like Katt Williams. Katt Williams, the mic assassin. On the other side, you have Katt Williams, a comedian, an actor, a truth teller, a man who has roasted Hollywood royalty, taken down powerful celebrities, and never been afraid to speak his mind. When Katt has a mic, nobody is safe. From rappers to politicians to fellow comedians, he has dragged them all. But what makes Katt dangerous is this. He speaks what people are thinking but are too afraid to say. In 2024, when he went viral for exposing industry secrets, the world realized that Katt wasn't just a comedian. He was a cultural weapon. And so, when Donnie Swaggart's words about Hollywood and comedy circles reached Katt's ears, the stage was set for an explosion. The clash begins. One comment, a million reactions. It all started with a sermon. Donnie, preaching on a Sunday morning at Family Worship Center, took aim at what he called the spirit of perversion in entertainment. And in that fiery sermon, he name-dropped comedians, saying they mock the holiness of God and spread darkness under the disguise of laughter. The crowd shouted, "Amen." The church organ roared. But social media wasn't having it. Clips of Donnie's sermon went viral on TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And guess who fans tagged over and over? Katt Williams. Within 24 hours, Katt fired back during a sold-out comedy show in Atlanta. Katt's mic drop moment. With the crowd roaring, Katt leaned into the mic and said, "Donnie Swaggart, the man preaching from his daddy's pulpit, got the nerve to talk about comedians? Sir, you should be thanking us. We making people laugh while you making people cry in guilt." The audience erupted. Phones came out. The clip went viral instantly. Katt didn't stop there. He compared preachers like Donnie to Hollywood producers, calling both masters of manipulation. That was the first punt. And trust me, Donnie wasn't going to stay silent. Donnie's pulpit fire. The next Sunday, Donnie responded. His voice thundered across the sanctuary as he said, "There are men out there who think mocking God is entertainment. I don't care how funny you think you are. When you laugh at sin, you're laughing on your way to hell." Boom, another clip, another viral moment. And just like that, a feud that nobody saw coming turned into the biggest church versus comedy war of the year. Social media explosion. On Twitter X, fans split into two camps. Team Donnie calling Katt a blasphemer. Team Katt roasting Donnie's past family scandals. On YouTube, reaction channels milked the feud, analyzing every word. On TikTok, edits of Katt's punchlines and Donnie's pulpit fire racked up millions of views. The comments were brutal. Katt dragged a whole preacher with one joke. Donnie preaching harder against Katt than he ever did against his daddy's scandals. This is church versus comedy, and I'm here for it. The aftermath, families, followers, and fallout. The feud didn't just stay between Donnie and Katt. The Swaggart family was forced to respond. Frances Swaggart, Donnie's mother, was reportedly furious at Katt's words. The comedy community rallied behind Katt, saying this was proof that preachers can't take a joke. Church members were torn. Some cheered Donnie for standing firm. Others feared he was making the ministry look foolish. Meanwhile, Katt announced he was working on a Netflix special with an entire segment dedicated to preachers like Donnie. The war was far from over. What this means, the bigger picture. This clash isn't just about Donnie versus Katt. It's about two powerful voices, one in the pulpit, one on the stage, fighting for influence in America. Donnie represents the old guard of religious authority. Katt represents the new wave of unfiltered truth-telling. And the fact that their worlds collided shows us one thing. People are tired of silence. They want drama. They want raw truth. And they will watch this war unfold like it's a Netflix series. Donnie Swaggart never imagined that one Sunday sermon could turn into the most shocking cultural war of the year. But when he stood behind the pulpit, fire in his voice and judgment in his eyes, and declared that comedians were mocking God and dragging souls to hell, he set off a chain reaction that would collide with one of the most feared voices in entertainment, Katt Williams. The preacher's son versus the comedy assassin. The pulpit against the stage. Two men from opposite worlds, now locked in a war nobody saw coming. At first, Donnie thought it was just another sermon. He thundered against Hollywood, against what he called the spirit of perversion, and against those who used laughter as a disguise for sin. His congregation shouted amen, the organ played, the cameras recorded. But outside the sanctuary, in the wild jungle of social media, something bigger was happening. A young attendee clipped a fiery portion of Donnie's words and uploaded it to TikTok. Within hours, the clip exploded. "This preacher just declared war on comedians," one caption read. The comment section filled up instantly. Somebody tagged Katt Williams. "He needs to hear that." And Katt did. Backstage in Atlanta, prepping for another sold-out comedy show, Katt scrolled through his phone and found the clip. His face lit up with that signature sly grin. To him, Donnie wasn't just another preacher. He was a target. A setup for the punchline of the decade. That night, Katt took the stage. Thousands roared as he walked out. But instead of opening with a joke, he dropped a bomb. Donnie Swaggart? The man preaching from his daddy's pulpit got the nerve to call comedians evil? Sir, the only reason anybody even knows your name is because your daddy couldn't keep himself out of scandal. The crowd went crazy. Phones shot up in the air. That clip alone went viral, racking up millions of views by morning. The internet crowned Katt the winner after just one joke. But Donnie wasn't about to stay silent. The following Sunday, Family Worship Center felt less like a church and more like a battlefield. Donnie's voice shook the walls as he fired back. "Some so-called comedian thinks he can mock the servant of God? Let me tell you something, young man. You may laugh now, but one day you'll stand before the Lord, and your jokes won't save you from judgment." The church erupted in applause. Another clip, another viral wave. This wasn't just a feud anymore. It was a cultural explosion. Social media became a war zone. Team Donnie argued that Katt was blasphemous, leading people to hell with filthy jokes. Team Katt clapped back that Donnie was a hypocrite, living off a family name stained with scandal. Twitter threads roasted Donnie's past. TikTok edits mixed Donnie's fiery shouting with Katt's savage comebacks. YouTube reactors dissected every word like it was a heavyweight boxing match. Headlines screamed, "Preacher versus Comedian, the clash of 2025. For the first time in years, both Donnie Swaggart and Katt Williams were trending worldwide. Behind closed doors, the Swaggart family was divided. Frances, the matriarch, urged Donnie to let it go. "Ignore him," she reportedly said. "The devil only wins when you give him your attention." Gabriel warned his father that fighting Katt publicly could damage the ministry's reputation. But Donnie wasn't listening. He felt called to fight, convinced this was a spiritual war. For him, it wasn't about comedy versus church. It was about heaven versus hell. Katt, meanwhile, was having the time of his life. In interviews, he mocked Donnie mercilessly. "He should thank me," Katt said with a laugh. "Because without me, nobody under 40 even knows who he is. Now he's trending, and it ain't because of the Bible, it's because of me." Netflix executives took notice and immediately approached Katt with a deal, a full comedy special dedicated to Hollywood versus the church. Katt said yes and teased that Donnie would get a whole segment to himself. The feud spread beyond America. In Nigeria, pastors defended Donnie and warned against comedians mocking God. In London, comedy clubs projected Katt's roast on big screens. In Pakistan, Christian communities debated if Donnie had gone too far. CNN ran a headline, "Preacher versus Comedian, America's New Culture War." The world was watching, and the stakes were rising. Things escalated when Katt dug deeper, bringing up Jimmy Swaggart's old scandals in his shows. He reminded the world of the prostitution controversies that had nearly destroyed the ministry decades earlier. The jokes cut like knives. For Donnie, this was no longer just about defending God. It was about defending his family name. Old wounds reopened, and the ghosts of Jimmy's past came back to haunt them. Frances was furious. Gabriel was worried, but Donnie was burning with rage. Rumors swirled about a leaked tape. An audio recording allegedly captured Katt saying he had tapes that could expose the entire Swaggart family. Was it real? Nobody knew. But the internet didn't care. The mere suggestion sent shockwaves through both fan bases. Suddenly, people weren't just talking about jokes and sermons. They were whispering about hidden files, secret scandals, and the possibility that Katt had dirt that could end the Swaggart empire. Donnie doubled down, preparing a special televised sermon aimed entirely at what he called the demonic spirit behind comedy. Meanwhile, Katt teased his Netflix special with a poster featuring himself holding a Bible in one hand and a microphone in the other, under the tagline, "The Truth Hurts." Reaction videos exploded, fans debated endlessly, and both men seemed to grow stronger the more they fought. And then came the twist nobody expected. Reports surfaced that Donnie had been invited to appear on a major talk show, not to preach, but to respond directly to Katt. Negotiations were underway. Could America soon witness the two men face to face, live on national television? The internet nearly broke at the thought. Memes flooded Twitter. Donnie in a boxing ring with Katt, Bibles versus microphones, pulpits versus stages. Everyone wanted to see it. Everyone wanted the clash to go to the next level. By now, it was no longer about who was right or wrong. It was about who could dominate the narrative. Donnie's sermons were drawing record views online. Katt's comedy shows were selling out faster than ever. Both men, willingly or unwillingly, had become part of the same storm. Some whispered that maybe Donnie secretly wanted the attention. Others wondered if Katt had crossed the line by dragging in family scandals. But one thing was certain, this feud wasn't dying. It was only growing. For Donnie's followers, this was proof of prophecy. The world attacking God.